Taxpayers fired up today after learning departing lawmakers on both sides of the aisle are awarding their staffers millions in extra pay as they shut down their offices. $7 million in total, almost $14,000 per staffer, and it's all money that might otherwise have been returned to the Treasury. Tea Party activist Gina livid. But Gina, as we go through some of these particulars, this is money, the offices had more money than they knew what to do with, essentially. Before they shut down, they just handed it out. And some of these are like eye-popping bonuses to folks, many of whom were in six digits already, getting a nice boost as a result of these bonuses. What do you think?
You know, most of us in the private sector, Neil, didn't get bonuses this year. I think it's absolutely an outrage. I think that every red-blooded, tax-paying American who's ever paid a bill in their life ought to be standing on their sofa screaming about this. This is exactly what we've been talking about for 2 years, and you just feel like it falls on deaf ears. All
right, but they're saying in the scheme of things, some of these guys who were doling these out, that, look, this was money that was earmarked, no, it's a bad word, for those offices anyway. If not spent, it's gone. So they gave it to the people for whom it was probably ultimately intended. What do you say?
It belongs to the taxpayers, Neil. It was never their money to give away.
So they gave it away. What do you want to see now?
Well, what I want to see is more of what happened in the last election happening in this election. This should be the motivation for conservatives right now to throw their remote controls down and get back out on the streets and start either running for office or working for an ethical candidate. You know, this reminds me
Gina,
so
we don't
much
want them
of the...
We don't want them throwing the remote controls down between 4 p.m. and 5 p.m. Eastern time, but
right,
I do get the gist of your point, but go ahead.
Yeah, this is something that should spur Americans back into action. We tried to make the changes we could make in the last election. This is clear evidence, Neil. They still don't get it. This wasn't their money to give away, no matter how altruistic it might seem. It doesn't belong to them.
But you know, Gina, Republicans are doing it too. Republicans are the ones who now are renegotiating what an earmark is and calling it something else. And Republicans are the ones bickering over how much to cut, and they're having difficulty bridging the gap between the president's $6 billion in planned cuts to get the budget going and their $60 billion. Relative chump change, as the debt commission guys were telling me earlier. So they're as much, if not these days, more at fault because they're kind of in charge, at least in the House, right?
I agree that the Democrat spending is downright sinister, Neil, and the Republican spending is no better. We don't have our answers yet, and this is all the more reason why conservatives have to re-engage and understand they still don't get it. You know, this is a violation of the public trust, exactly the kind of thing Benjamin Franklin was talking about when he said, "I've given you a republic if you can keep it." To keep it, you have to have a moral people. This is a violation of that morality. This tells us they still aren't listening, Neil. This is a clear directive from the people who are permitting this to happen. And don't forget, what about Eric Holder in the Department of Justice? Tell me something. Why isn't this a criminal investigation? The things I read this morning smack to me of campaign bonuses more than staff bonuses, and I think there's something they should look at there. But regardless of that, conservatives have to re-engage and stop this ridiculous spending.
Thanks, Gina. Good seeing you again. All right, 1 hour from now on Fox Business Network. Much more of my sit-down with the former